Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Jay Cohen. I am the marketing coordinator here at Network Concepts. I want to thank you all for joining us on today's webinar. This is about Office 365, and these are the tips to save you time and improve productivity. This is our second Microsoft Summer School webinar that we're doing, and we have another one coming up in August. I'm going to touch a little bit more on that. But today, I'm going to talk to you guys all about Office 365. I'm going to get into a little bit about the Office apps. I'm going to talk a lot about that. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can collaborate on projects. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about each individual app and kind of how we can use that to either collaborate or a different type of effective tip that we can do. So I just have one housekeeping rule. If you guys have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to type that into the chat, and I'm going to go over that at the end of my presentation. So I just have a few questions that I want to give to you guys before we get into the presentation. You know, we are getting into a more mobile workforce, and these are just a couple questions to keep in mind during the presentation. I just want to give these to you guys. So a couple of them are, can my employees or yourself be productive outside the office? How do we stay productive across a range of mobile devices? How do we enable people to work together from different locations? And how do I keep my data safe as it travels outside the walls of the business? I have a few more, and that is, how quickly can we get new employees up and running? How do we keep up with our data growth? And are we getting a return on investment? And is this going to help us get some more free time to think about our IT business needs, which we hope you guys do. So now that we got that on the side, now that we're thinking a little bit more, let's talk about Office 365. Now, with Office 365, you have access to the Office apps, which I hope you guys are using, and you can access them actually from your desktop, but more importantly, you can actually access them through your mobile devices and your tablets. If even right now, you can actually download them right now as you're talking, or if you're listening in this webinar. So go ahead and actually do that now. That would be kind of cool. They're all connected through your Microsoft account, so you're able to, all you have to do is log in, and then you'll have them. So you can just do that now if you'd like, or if I'm done, we can go ahead and do that. You're gonna have like a terabyte of personal storage data with that, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So the available apps that you can download, your basic Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint. You can get OneDrive, and then there's Skype for Business, and then I'm going to talk a little bit more about those as well. So why are these so helpful, and what's the whole deal with this? I mean, it's actually really great to be able to collaborate with your coworkers. I mean, here's a few things that you guys can do. Like, you can even build like a team library where all your documents are stored, and you can see kind of like where everything is, and similar to what you do, but now this is in the cloud, and you can totally get access to it. You can even create a team site, and this is actually kind of cool, where you can have control of who kind of can see what and who has the right to send what to where. This is more of like a safeguard for your business. So it's great to have this, be able to share your internal documents from, if you want to take something and work on it from home and all that stuff. This is great, and one of my favorite things is that no one gets lost in translation. You're going to send emails, you don't have to send emails back and forth through each other. Everyone seems to be on the same page and working on the same document. So that is everything about Office 365, and now let's get into the actual apps and like tips that we can use for these. So let's start with OneNote. Now, I know a lot of people are familiar with OneNote, but I don't think anyone's actually using it. I think it's a really great tool. It's basically like a notepad, and I don't think anyone's really using it. This is great to have in your meeting. You can take down all types of notes, and then you can actually share that with your team a little bit later. You can export these notes as a PDF. You can send them to an Outlook email. This is just great for your any other meeting that you're having, your whatever it be, your annual meeting, your weekly meetings, your sales meetings, and even if you're just ordering lunch, this is also a good idea. Really cool thing and going off of OneNote is something called Office Lens. Now this you're gonna need a mobile device or a tablet because it's gonna need access to your phone, or your phone's camera, and it's basically gonna work at like a little pocket scanner. So I mean, for example, you can use this like maybe you're having a meeting and you write a couple things on the board. You can take a quick picture of that, save that as a PDF or even a Word document if you really want to. PowerPoint file, I believe it can even go to. Another thing that you can even use it for if you're on a business trip and you have a bunch of receipts and you're afraid you're going to lose them, you can take a picture of that and boom, send it to the admin. You got a couple business cards maybe. You're afraid you're going to lose those too. You can definitely take a picture of those. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Skype for Business as well. This is kind of a cool thing to do. You can actually collaborate in real time with somebody, which is kind of really crazy and cool. It's available to do in a meeting and also in an instant messenger. So as you can see of my two examples there, all you have to do is just go into your options and hit co-author office document. It's going to bring up a Word and you guys can collaborate in real time. That's pretty cool. So also a pretty important feature is that Skype obviously actually records. This is, I mean, as basic as it sounds, it's a very important feature, and just, you can record your meetings. You can record, let's say your sales meeting, there's a couple sales guys out, and they're not able to make the meeting. Well, you can record it, and then you can actually send it to them if you'd really like to. It's very easy, so all you got to do is hit your more options. You're going to start recording, and then you can manage recording. You can publish it, play it, rename it, send it, whatever have you. So with Skype, you're actually able to transfer calls, and let's say you're leaving the office, you can actually transfer that call to your cell phone. How you're able to do that? Pretty simple. It's just going to hit this call control button over here. You're going to hit that transfer, and you just transfer your call. It actually will give you somebody, so you can have somebody's name. You can just type that, or you can actually type in that number too, and then you're just going to hit transfer. Pretty simple. So these are some of the ways to sort of collaborate with our team and stay in touch with our team. Now let's look at a few efficiency tips. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So let's take a look at Excel. And I know you're all familiar with autofill maybe. It's basically whenever you got a lot of repetitive information such as dates, autofill is pretty good for that. But I'm going to talk a little something about flash fill. So here's my example here. I got all these emails, and these aren't anybody's emails, so don't worry. So I have Nancy, Andrew, Jan, and so I started typing the first names, Nancy, Andrew, and then flash fill actually is like, hey, I recognize that. So you're writing the first name of the email. So it gives me these suggestions, and all I got to do is accept, and boom. Done. My data is complete. Another thing for Excel is, let's say you have all your data and you want to put in a nice chart or something like that. We should notice that there is actually something called a quick analytic tool, and it's pretty much right there in the corner of your chart. You'll be able to click that, and it'll give you the cluster column, cluster bar, line, pie graph. You can actually just hit Control Q too, and that will open up this, and you should be able to hover over these and see each one, and it should give you a quick preview too. So this just reminds me of all the cell phone commercials. because it shows them, oh, this we're covered here, 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 and there, and it has a giant map of the world. But it's basically the same idea of what you have here. Um, um, yeah, all you need is your basic data, list of zip codes, countries, states, cities, and you can use this if you really wanted to plot your leads, your customers, even your competitors if you really wanted to. And don't be discouraged that this is a map of the United States and you're just probably saying that, oh, we're a local business. Well, you can actually zoom in and see the whole Pennsylvania, and we can get into the Bucks or lower Montgomery area. So don't be discouraged. It kind of just you'll be able to zoom in. All right, well, so that's pretty much Excel. I'm going to get into Outlook now, but again, we have a um, webinar coming up August 31st about Outlook, and so I'm not going to touch too much on it today. So if you are interested in Outlook, I would suggest going to our webinar the 31st. So it'll be all about Outlook. So this is actually something that I've been doing and not even knowing. It's basically I can attach any recent item that I've been working on. And I didn't even notice I was doing this. It's kind of funny. Pretty much, say I was working on our sales numbers this week, and I finished that document, then I want to send it over to somebody, so I can just hit attach file, and boom, it'll come up, recent items. Oh, there it is, sales numbers. I can just attach it right there. Very simple, very quick, and very easy. So with Outlook and Outlook Web, you are also able to schedule Skype meetings the same way you would schedule any other meetings, and appointments too. So it's pretty helpful if you are relying on Skype. All you pretty much have to do is open Outlook, open the Home tab, new items, Skype meeting, and then you would just enter in pretty much your two, so that will just be the email address of the person, your subject, basic things like that, your scheduling, and you just send that over. Pretty simple. All right, so that's Outlook, and again, we're going to have a Outlook webinar next month, the 31st. So if I didn't give you enough info, there should be enough info coming up. All right, so that's Outlook. Let's move on to Word. And I'm sure you guys are all familiar with these up top here, the styles. You can actually change those if you like. Let's say, you're working on a business proposal and, you want a couple headings to match, like your logos, you want them to match the blue or the whatever color you have. You can actually just hit Control H and then L, and then you can type in the actual, maybe you want to use Times New Roman blue font, go ahead and you can just change it that way. This is, again, makes it a lot easier so you don't have to go back and change your font. This is just going to save you time. All right, I know this is kind of basic, but it's just something that actually Microsoft wanted me to touch on. So we have our Finder here, and it's actually in two spots in our navigation here. So you just have to hit that. Also, I know everybody knows everything about this. It's just Control F. You can find anything. It's really simple. You find in a word, very simple. I don't really need to touch up on this, but there is some other things. You can find graphics, tables, equations, footnotes. I mean, if you're working with somebody else and we're doing the Office apps and someone made a comment on that, you'd be able to search for it like that. It's just something that we should touch up on. I know it's very basic. All right, so that is Word. Let's move on to PowerPoint. Now for PowerPoint, it's easier than ever to share and collaborate on your presentations. This actually is with Word and Excel too. This has this little button there, but you can actually just hit that and then type in the person that you'd like to send it to, and they can make changes or make edits right away. You can actually even save it to the cloud. But you can actually send, so like let's say I'm in PowerPoint and I don't really want them to edit it. I can just send over I just want them to have the PDF of the PowerPoint. So I can send that over as well. Or I can just send over the PowerPoint file too. If that's what I choose to do. All right, this is something I actually used today. Well, for this PowerPoint. And I would suggest using this, so that way you don't have to go back and edit each slide one by one by one. It's called master slides. I'm sure most of you guys are aware of this, but to do this, you just get view, you're going to hit master slide, and then you can change your font. I mean, let's say you want to use Times New Roman 12. I mean, that's a little small for PowerPoint, but you get the gist. And that will change it to every other slide. And so that you don't, again, have to go back and change the font and the color and whatnot. It'll just make it all the same. Uniform. This is pretty cool too. You can just insert a link or video from YouTube, Facebook, and yeah, anything else that you find online. You can just insert that now. You don't have to have the video file, on and then upload it from there. And you don't, I mean, I've seen people do this a long time ago, but they used to have their hyperlink and then they would click on it and then open it in a browser. You don't have to do that anymore. This is pretty readily available, and you can just put that in, and it's actually going to make a video rectangle right here. And you can actually resize that too. And then you can just hit right click it and it'll play for you. Very simple, very easy to do. All right. The last thing I'm going to talk about is something called Microsoft Booking. Now, this is pretty cool. This is kind of mainly probably for the financial services, maybe even law firms, consulting, any of the appointment-based service companies. This is probably something that you would find very interesting. And I would suggest looking more into this, but this is basically has two parts, two components to it. There's a booking page for where your customers are going to schedule their appointments with either a staff member that they choose, or even though they can choose not to pick one in particular, their time and what they would want. And then that will send over to you, which is the second component, in either this type page, or you can even get the app. So it'll send you what that customer would like, when they would like it, and what exactly they would like done. Pretty cool. So that is it of my tips for you guys. And I do not see any questions as of right now. I just want you guys to know that my email address is here. That's jake@networkconceptsinc.com. And you guys can send me an email if you guys are having any questions. But yeah, that is pretty much it. I want to thank you guys for joining me for today. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. Again, we are going to do another webinar about Outlook, and that's going to be the 31st, same time, same place. All right, well, since there are no questions, I'm going to end this webinar. Thank you, guys.